All right, welcome everybody. This is Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. We are starting what we've been doing our round 2 of the Coliseum 2 event. Been a wonderful, wonderful event so far. We are going through specific flags set up unique to each character. We've got Turdsman and Jackimus here running for us today through this Coliseum 2 set. I am a Prebz here commentating with you guys along with the Schwantz.
Yo,
And
what's up?
we're gonna have a good time with this today.
Yeah, so this is another round two of the Coliseum matchup, and we are going to be doing Setzer's Dice Flag set. So let's talk about this a little bit, Prebz.
Ooh,
As you
yeah.
see, the Coliseum reward is if you win a battle in the Coliseum, you get 3 high tier items. I promise that's supposed to be tier, spelling notwithstanding there. And we do start with +5 vigor and +5 stamina on all of the characters, but the rest of this is, as Setzer's Dice would allude to, kind of a crapshoot here, Prebz?
That's right. Yeah, the character stats there's a wide range there. You can see 65 to 140%. So it can go really well, or it could not work out for you at all. In terms of what the role for your character stats are. The available commands, though, does give you Magitech and Shock, which is always fun to see. Always just allows a little bit of variety from the vanilla commands. And regular boss and ability scale random. Explain that through for me a little bit, Schwantz, what that means.
Yeah, so bosses, instead of being shuffled in the regular location, they are random. So we could actually encounter multiple of the same bosses in one seed, and that becomes a little interesting when we talk about the Kefka Tower skip, which is the same as it was for last week. You have to defeat 12 bosses, but it's 12 unique bosses. So if we see, I don't know, all Phantom Trains throughout the seed, we're not going to be able to get that Kefka Tower skip because it has to be 12 unique bosses. Additionally, the ability scaling set to random is different from our vanilla scale element. So that means, for instance, a Flame Eater normally casts only fire spells. Well, with ability scale random, they could pull from any different type of spell in the same tier. So instead of casting always Fire 2, they could do Ice 2, Bolt 2, or a Tier 2 equivalent of one of the other elemental things, or, and this is what's been giving our runners a lot of trouble, it could be something non-elemental, like, I don't know, Meteor, or Flare, or, one of the higher end things like Ultimate and Hyperdrive, once we get scaling up that high. So things will start to get a little nasty as we get a little bit later on in the seed, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying. And then if we look here, Espers give 0 to 5 spells, and the MP for those Espers range between 1 and 128. And Espers equip random 6 to 12, meaning, the Espers that each character can equip. Shops are random tiered, so that's I think that's good. I'd be happy with that as a runner, having random tiered shops.
It does mean that there are less goodies in shops, but there are certain shops that are like, oh my god, there's all sorts of awesome stuff in here. So it depends on which shops the runners visit, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And chests random scaled as well, so this will be a interesting run. I'm happy. I haven't seen a Setzer one yet. I've been a little busy, haven't been here in a while, and so I haven't seen a Setzer one yet, so this will be fun for me to watch.
Yeah, I think the shop prices being completely anything also throws a huge monkey wrench into things. That means that our consumable items may cost anything, but also our high tier items may cost anything. We might find, $15 flame shields in a shop, or we could find, as we saw in a race last night, $35,000 Phoenix Downs. So it'll vary very wildly, and we'll see how that affects our runners here. So let's go and head on over to the game zone, as in the left, in the purple, with the white text, that is Turdsman, and on the right, supporting the slate gray with neon lime green looking text, that is Jackimus. We do start not with Shadow. This is incorrect. This is from last week. We do start with Setzer with his vanilla slot, so we will see what other goodies our runners have in store and what our other characters that we have will do, because we do start with 3 characters and we need to get to 6 and 9. Alright, we're going to start in just a moment here, so let's see exactly what we get to start off with.
So again, as I mentioned, we're starting round 2 of these Coliseum races. So these 2 runners we have today have made it through round 1. And they're looking to continue their progress here. We got Setzer, Terra, and Realm. I saw Throw. Was that on Terra?
Yes, because Dance looks like it's on Realm. So
yeah, there we go.
Very powerful right out the gate with both of those abilities there. So it looks like Turdsman is going to be heading over to Narsh, where Jack is heading right to the cave to the sealed gate. This is one of Terra's gated checks, so I expect our runners, they will both at some point head here to the cave to the sealed gate. Lots of treasure in this Imperial base room down here. And we do get basically a free check with Terra's cave to the sealed gate. There is an item at the end of it, or an Esper or a character.
Pearl Lance and a drill if she happens to find somebody with tools.
Yeah, so both Hefe and Falcon Hit pointing out in the chat, normally we are very excited to see Throw. However, in a seed like this, where items are completely random cost, we have no idea if we're going to find some good stuff to throw. That's $14,000 bolt edges there that Turdsman picked up in the item shop over in Narsh. So that's sort of the flip side of, you know, the coin here, where we get cheap things like Blizzard Orbs in that relic shop, but with Throw, we don't necessarily have those like $20 and $30 shurikens that we could just burn 30 to 40 on for a particular seed. The other thing is, if we find a really cheap, very high battle power weapon to throw, then that'll be really nice for us, because we'll be throwing Ragnarok's all seed, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say, is that is something that you wouldn't normally do, but with the pricing, if it works out in your favor, then yeah, you could definitely just try and throw a normal, like a usable item, an equipable item, as opposed to just a throwable consumable. Yeah,
so we see Turdsman heading into the Returner's hideout here to do some more looting. If he wants to, he could head to Terra's Leet River, which is another one of the checks that's gated by Terra. I don't foresee that happening, but who knows? Maybe Turdsman is thinking, I need to make a wild play here, as Jack is a pretty prolific runner who already is through the cave to the sealed gate and does find a Magus Rod, so not an Esper there, even though it's a merchant sprite. However, Magus Rod will give +7 magic power to anybody that can equip it, and Realm, I believe, can equip that in the vanilla game there. Jack also ended up pulling out a water skein, as it's not a water edge, a water skein, as it's said from in the cave to the sealed gate. There are sort of hidden treasures that are never randomized in the cave to the sealed gate, and that's one of them. And knowing that we start with throw, it's good to pick up as many particular throwables as you possibly can.
Oh yeah,
$42,000 earrings there in the relic shop, so I wonder what kind of diamonds and all sorts of other precious gems are in those earrings to cost that much. Jeez.
Yeah.
So we're over at the Coliseum Inn. I didn't see if Jack checked the reward yet at the inn.
No, not yet. I don't believe so. I think he's just going straight to the store to see what it's got.
Yep, so Coliseum Inn is one of the areas of the game that's available to Setzer in either the World of Balance or the World of Ruin. It's another free pickup. $56,000 dried meat. Those are some really expensive pieces of meat, but $5,200 Aura Lances, that is what we could be throwing all game.
Yeah, wow.
So hopefully
Buying up
Turdsman
some
writes that down for later.
Yeah. Also decided to spend some money on Murasames as well. So definitely going that route of, okay, if this is what I can buy and get a nice hefty handful of, then that's what I'm going to get.
Yeah, whatever's cheap and dirty.
That's right.
Unfortunately, you can't throw the brushes, so even though that is a pretty cheap magical brush, that's not an item that you can throw. I don't think it would hurt very many things anyway. Have you ever received a paintbrush to the face? They're kind of soft on. It depends on what ends you throw at somebody, right? It's either really soft or a sharp stick.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if the brush's bristles have not been dried out, right? If they're old and stale and crusty, then maybe they might hurt. So let's talk about round 3 a little bit. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but the first couple of minutes of a Worlds Collide seed is usually just looting and shopping. And I haven't seen anything that has caught my eye in any of these looting routes. So we are doing Gogo's Mirror for round 3 of the Coliseum. I will briefly break down what that means. There is no global stat adjustment. And if you win a battle in the Coliseum, your entire team gets auto-reflect, which could be a blessing, but it also could be not a blessing, because remember, you will get enemy casts reflected off of your characters, but it also means you get your own casts reflected in things like Cure or Antidote or Dispel if you're trying to help your team out. So we'll see if anybody decides to do that. There's also the ability to have the Ultima spell with Gogo's Mirror, which is very nice. We don't normally get to see it. There are no random excludes for the commands, so Possess is on the table in that particular set of options. We also have an experience multiplier of 4x instead of the standard 3, but the ability scaling and the level scaling and the HP and MP scaling for enemies is party highest level times 1, so you're not going to be able to out-level your enemies here. Jack checks Kefka at Narsh, and it's a ghost, so he decides, I don't really need that right now. It's either an Esper or an item. He was hopefully looking for a character, I think, up there. Gonna do some grinding, then probably take on the Welk spot, and then maybe march back up to Kefka at Narsh here. Meanwhile, Turdsman did see at the Tizen Thief that it's a $27,000 shiny stone.
Yikes, man. The pricing here.
Yeah, so Gogo's flag set for next week should certainly be interesting. I think it's going to be a little more tame than I think our first 2 weeks of Shadow with the whole, split XP going on, and Setzer's Dice being a complete RNG fest. So we'll see if there's any strategies that sort of come out of some of the practice rounds that we see.
That's something I would definitely, if I were to get through a couple practice runs and to see like how maybe consistent it can be compared to this RNG fest that we've got here, then it's definitely something we probably will see more like planned out routes for after these runners get a couple practice runs.
All right, and here we see Turdsman following and grabbing some of the chests. So there was an ice shield that he pulled out there. One thing to notice with the chest contents in this particular flag set is that it depends on how many chests you open, right? So the more chests you open, the higher tier the items will be in those chests, and both runners have the same items in the individual numbered chests that they open. So Turdsman's 10th chest is the same as Jack's 10th chest, no matter where they pick it up from.
I was about to mention that because it did seem like a lot of the chests that they were picking up, even though they were in different sections, happened to provide the same items. So yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense with those scaled chests.
I think Ficta in the chat mentioned that there was a Ragnarok pick out. So Turdsman, I think, is a little bit further along in pulling out chests. So Jack, if he continues to loot chests, will eventually find that Ragnarok and a Thunder Shield there. So, you know, as I sort of mentioned, the more chests you open, the better the items are, and we are seeing now that Turdsman is getting better items as he's opened much more chests than Jack has.
Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, there. Yep, that Ragnarok is there. He's got it on Terra.
Probably don't want to throw the Ragnarok though.
Yeah, no.
Ooh, that's a nice dance right there with landslide on the one set of dances. It's basically like a faster version of Flare. We see Jack going up against Welk, and Turdsman pulling on the Cave to the Sealed Gate lever here, and it's going to take some grind fights at this spot. This is a play that I like to make a lot, and it's allowed me to cut Leet River basically completely out of my life.
Whatever you can do to get Leet River out, right?
Yes, yes. So it is Ultros 3 from Jack. We do not have Sketch. Realm's ability, remember, is Dance and not her vanilla Sketch. So we can't end this fight right away. However, since Jack has done a little bit of grinding, I don't anticipate a lot of troubles here. But this is probably the Ultros with the most HP, except for maybe Ultros 2 if you can't kill it quickly, because then it goes underneath the quote-unquote floorboards and pops back up with a new pool of HP.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it looks like it's not. Yeah, it's not quite as quick as we would normally expect.
Yeah, we're also getting a little bit unlucky with these dances here. Landslide is the third one on the list, so it has less of a chance of coming out for sure. But some of the other dances are still pretty decent. Surge is a very nice AoE ice sort of attack. Which is weird because it looks like water.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Turdsman is going to get his Magus Rod here at the end of the cave to the Sealed Gate.
There it is, yep. Alright, got a plasma out of that dance.
Yeah, so Ultros is weak to... I've never seen that happen before, where he backs up and then just dies. Ultros is weak to a lot of different elements, but most notably fire, as there, I believe, is the first piece of Magicite for Jack and for our runners in the entire seed here.
Yeah, first one, first sighting. Alright, Turdsman just found some nice priced sleeping bags, so that's always helpful.
Yep, and here we see, as Jack did pick up the Colingen, and it was Kieran, because I did see it in his menu, so he's actually got two Espers. Okay. And there you see the power of the equipable from random 6 to 9, as Terra is unable to equip that newly acquired Alexander Esper there. So that's one of the interesting things about this flag set, is normally if you can't find physical offensive things for your characters to do, or their commands aren't usually very good, then you just say, well, I'll just turn them into a magic character. However, not all of the characters can learn all of the spells because they can't equip all of the Espers in this seed. So that's an interesting wrinkle to figure out. We do have Merton on one of the Espers there, and we have found a couple of elemental shields. So we might have some Merton strats on the table here for later on in the seed.
Yeah, it looks like Jackimus just picked up another ice shield from the Turner hideout, and looking to sell up some stuff here to make some purchases.
Yeah, so the Phoenix Downs are only 17,000 in this set of in this seed. Turdsman, meanwhile, picking up a couple of hero rings. Hero rings will boost both physical offensive and magical offensive power. That's a good pickup. The price was right. They're about the same as what they are in vanilla. They were 25,000, I believe. They're slightly higher in a non-randomized set of shops. But that'll certainly help with Terra, as Terra can both use magic and throw things. And we see Jack doing his play of hopping on the river. He's going to get a lot of levels because that Ultros fight took way too long on his side.
And Turdsman going for the Coliseum here. So we're gonna see if he gets the W. Then we'll see which of those 3 high-tiered items that he gets.
Yeah, so that is a Minerva for a leather hat. I'll take that trade all day, and we don't have to fight anything all that scary. So that is
there you go.
That's a Coliseum win there for Turdsman. He will get 3 high-tier items. Unfortunately, we're not going to know what they are until he checks his inventory, but that's the Coliseum done for Turdsman as well. Doesn't look like it's a piece of armor, based on what it is, unless it's a piece of armor that we don't know. Looks like it was probably an Atma weapon, and maybe an Aura Lance, unless he bought some of those in a Genji shield. So, not terrible items that he got out of there. Atma weapon is certainly the standout one of the bunch. Going back in for a Mega Elixir. Yeah, this is such an interesting enemy sprite to me. Does anybody know what the heck that's actually supposed to be? Like when I read like the monster descriptions, it says it's like a blob of mucus and skin, and I'm like, that's pretty disgusting.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say, when I read Cruller, that's not what I think of. I think of Dunkin' Donuts, and I get hungry. You know.
Definitely don't want to chew on one of those. That looks very rubbery.
Oh yeah.
If that's what a bakery's crullers looked like, I'd walk right out.
Oh yeah, and I'd call the health department.
Yet another Pearl Lance for Turdsman. So I think he has 4 now, because he must have won one of them from the Coliseum as well, because I don't remember him buying or looting that many of them. As
I only remember him looting 1. And yeah, so maybe that could have been one of the high tier items.
Yeah, so we see kind of a different strategy here. Turdsman taking the longer time to loot and hit the Coliseum and see what the seed is giving him. Jack, meanwhile, just takes off his Moogle Charm and runs at things, basically. So he's already most of the way done with this river, and he's level 15 or so. On his party. So this is a good spot for Jack in order to level up his party. As we had mentioned, that Ultros 3 fight definitely took a while. So this will hopefully catch him up. And the scaling in this particular set of Coliseum options is progression times 2.5. So it's a little bit higher than what we're used to in a standard race. It's usually progression times 2. So in this case, Jack's enemies are level 12.5, 13, 14 or so. So now he's gotten past his level scaling a little bit, and hopefully he'll be cruising right along here.
And meanwhile, Turdsman looks like he's having a bit of an easier time through some of these battles. So it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic. Like you said, he's been taking a little bit of a longer approach to find more loot and kind of take that time, as opposed to going directly for different checks. But it looks like it's paying off for him currently. Let's see if that stays the case, because the thing about these randomizers is things can change in just one little moment based on what they find or any event happening.
Yeah, I mean, given what he's got with Setzer and Terra and Realm, we don't really know what our Setzer and potentially our Realm will be doing for the rest of the seed. We know that Terra is going to just use Ragnarok and potentially throw. So maybe he's looking to get some more levels, find some more stuff in a chest to just give or just take what the seed is giving him, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, well, Jack gets stopped right before the boss here at the end of the Elite River, and we'll see what this is. Oh, it's the tentacles.
Ooh, okay.
I think he's high enough HPs where it's not going to be too big of an issue. He does have access to X Zone. And the bottom right tentacle is susceptible to instant death, and he knows that the bottom left tentacle is instant death. The bottom right tentacle is weak to ice and absorbs fire. But we got some pasta in a river. I don't know if I'd eat this pasta. Depend on which river. If it's the Hudson by me, maybe I'm not eating that pasta.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe not out of the Hudson.
Extra salty.
Although it does look a little bit more appetizing, just slightly more appetizing than that cruller.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I might have to get me one of those today after this.
There we go. There's the
Kirin.
The Kirin Esper coming out for Turdsman from the Colon Jinin.
Alrighty.
Yeah, one of the things about tentacles is they're not all that scary. They just waste a lot of time because they will grab onto characters and essentially remove them from the fight for a temporary amount of time. And the less time that your characters are doing damage, the longer the fight goes, right?
That's right.
That sort of makes sense. Plus, they will inflict slow on you, and oh man, that is a dead check. Ooh, that is rough.
Could have just gone to the Coliseum and killed the crawler, you know?
Yeah, I think the levels certainly are going to be way more important to Jack than
That's true. That's very
reward.
true.
Yeah, so that is exactly why, chat, I avoid the Elite River at all times by doing the Sealed Gate Cave Ninjas, so that this way I don't have to do all that. I could stop whenever I want, there's a save point right behind me, and we're good to go. Meanwhile, Turdsman is in World of Ruin J'dor, which is where Owser's Mansion is, one of Realm's checks. Jack is heading up to the Zozo Tower, which is one of Terra's checks. We'll see if Turdsman peeks into the auction house. Notably, when items sell for random amounts, wow, that's a lot of bolt edges that he just bought.
Yeah.
When items sell for random amounts, it's a lot easier to sell items in order to get up to the limit for the auction house and to buy your espers in there. So we'll see if Turdsman decides to combo this check. Little Owser's Mansion, little auction house early in the seed.
Yeah, no, that's actually I think that would be a smart route to go. Jackimus having another attack at Ultros here. Hopefully this one will go a little bit quicker with the levels he's gotten.
Yeah, we'll see. This is yet another Ultros 3, so it's not even a different boss.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's right. So then, as we mentioned before, right, based on the flag set, this would not count towards the boss count for a KT skip, right? Because he's already defeated Ultros 3.
Yeah, so even after he defeats this boss, he'll still have 2 bosses killed, the Tentacles and then Ultros 3. Because it is unique bosses killed.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Ooh. Yeah, no. run away fast.
And Jack is already done with that fight, so it was worth hopping on the Elite River to get some levels, even though the reward wasn't there. And he's keeping us in suspense for the reward here, and it is Locke.
It's Locke. Okay.
Well, maybe now that Atma Weapon is a little more palpable, that we have an Atma Weapon user with Locke.
Yeah.
And Locke also has Throw.
Oh, alright. We got 2 throwers.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jack has not found those $4,500 Aura Lances that Turdsman found.
Oh yeah, that's right. Which store were those ones at again?
I think they were in South Figaro, which Jack has not gone there yet.
Yeah.
All right, well, inside of Bowser's Mansion, we have 2 forced encounters and up to 5 different optional ones with the chest pull-downs and the painting pull-in. Turdsman's going to march up to Bowser and sees an imp painting a portrait, so this means it's either an Esper or an item. It is not a character. And hey, we got 2 different different locations with the same boss.
All right.
Wow. This is incredible.
Meant to be.
Yep, so Terra getting some action with that Thunderblade on Jack's screen, because number 128, being a mechanical boss, is weak to lightning, so that's pretty good.
Oh yeah. That's good to see. You can already see a little bit in the difference in the levels that Jack has been able to get, though. Both of them using the same bolt on the boss, but Jack just dealing out a nice chunk more damage.
Alright, and we'll see what we get there for Jack.
Odin.
That was an Esper. It flashed so quickly I almost missed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jack picking up Odin and an Illumina for Turdsman from Bowser's Mansion over there.
Alright, so that is a dead check, but that is another big sword to swing. He will be happy when he goes and gets Locke, perhaps, at the Zozo Tower, but for now, he only has one of his characters that could use those 2 big swords.
That's right.
And that is a soldier sprite there at the at Esper Mountain, and Jack decides, I'm going to come back for this later. Maybe he's looking to get another character to swap out Setzer.
Maybe.
Or Realm, perhaps. So we'll see why he decided to do that.
Yeah, it looks like he's heading to the Coliseum now. Gonna go for that reward, see what he can get out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a couple of I've done maybe 2 or 3 practices of Setzer's dice, and there have been times when I've gone to the Coliseum because I've had nothing, and then there are other times where I just skip it because I don't really need anything. So, it's not like in the flag set from last week, the shadow flags, where you got auto image, and you're like, alright, well, even if there's garbage in the Coliseum, and even if I have stuff, it's definitely worth the reward.
Definitely.
There are Minervas in here, as well as even more Aura Lances if you didn't find them in the shop. Yeah, I think the one time I did go to the Coliseum in the Setzer flag set, I got, just absolute nothing from my high tier items. Marvel shoes, as Gar says. Yeah, something like that. Alright, well, Jack is going to get his Genji shield and his Pearl Lance and his something else. Oh, his Atma weapon.
It was Atma weapon, yeah.
Along with the Minerva. So Minerva's pretty decent at least, but would rather not have the Genji shield or the Genji armor or whatever it is. It's not all that good. And with that Atma weapon, it looks like Turdsman is either just saving and healing here, or he's going to go dig in this monster in a box potentially for that offering. Atma weapon is one of 3, maybe 4 if you count the sniper, that pair well with an Atma weapon, and it's another dead check. Fixed dice sleep here, but Setzer can naturally equip those fixed dice, and that's not a bad call if you don't know what to do with Setzer here.
True. And if he does happen to go back for that offering, fixed dice offering, although it is long to attack that way, can deal out quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, or as Boo, notable hater of fixed dice, points out in the chat, we could just turn around and sell those.
Yeah.
They won't sell for their normal price. Remember, it's a completely random price. Jack did find pretty cheap wing edges in the weapon shop there in Jador, so I think that's what he's going to be throwing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunately, a couple of dead checks in a row here. We've had, what, 3 dead checks so far this seed? Leet River and
You refer
Came
Daryl's
to the
tomb.
Sealed Gate and Daryl's tomb.
Sealed Gate, yeah. Yeah, Sealed Gate was the Magus Rod, yeah.
We also get access to the Doomgaze spot immediately with Setzer. We could just go to the airship and say, "Fight me, bro," and a boss will appear.
And that would be the Cranes.
Alright, it looks like Realm can use the Illumina, so that's what Turdsman is going to be doing for the time being. And wow, that is a Pearl proc.
Wow.
Jack picks up that Ragnarok there, so he's finally picked up enough chests to get that big beefy sword. And at the end of Owzer's Mansion, he's going to get another big beefy sword. So we've got offense sort of coming out of our ears with this seed. It's just a matter of, can we find our progression? And Turdsman finds one piece there with Zone Seek.
It also depends on like who can actually equip said weapons. But yeah, let's see. I'm interested to see exactly how Jack is gonna put his team together. Definitely seeing different, I think, approaches on the two sides of the screen. Turdsman opting to use slot a lot more often with Setzer, and now having another one.
Stop opening chests. You don't need to open chests anymore. So yeah, Turdsman sees the soldier sprite and decides to go for it. Jack sees the merchant sprite. So the options that we have left for Turdsman are Leet River, Kefka at Narsh, World of Balance Zozo, and World of Ruin Mobliz after this particular check here. We know that Kefka at Narsh is not a character. We know that Welk is also not a character. And we know that Leet River is not a character. So this might be a linear seed gated at World of Balance Zozo. Unless it's gated at Mobliz. The problem with Mobliz is you always have to knock your party down to either 2, or if you have a party of 3, 1 character to take on the second boss. So it's not exactly ideal. And that's another dead check with an ice shield. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
We did not get a train suplex, but we did get a train X zone. So
yes,
that's good enough.
Also,
for me.
Yeah, also very satisfying to watch. But yeah, it definitely, we're gonna see here Turdsman heading back over to Narsh. Maybe he is gonna look to see what Kefka at Narsh is.
Unfortunately, he's not going to find himself a character here.
No.
Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the coin, Jack has already showed us what the South Figaro Cave is in Locke's path. So he just has the Phoenix Cave left after the ones that I had already mentioned. So the seed is getting pretty railroady pretty fast with making our runners do only certain things to advance the seed here.
Yeah.
That was sort of the beauty of having Shadow with YMPC remove, is you could sort of sequence break, the logic of the seed, and you don't have to go down these linear paths. And
another Ragnarok over there.
So does Jack gamble on this being a Ragnarok sword or the Ragnarok Esper? What do we think it is, chat? It doesn't look like Jack is going to take the bait, though.
Doesn't look like it.
Given the way the seed is shaked out so far, I guarantee you that's the sword. Alright, so then for Jack, that means that his progression is at Phoenix Cave.
Like it. Yeah, looks like it.
He's going to take a detour into Daryl's tomb and be disappointed?
Yep. Oh no.
Turdsman does grab the Esper there at the Welk spot and is going to find not a character at Kefka at Narsh.
Let's see what he does here. Does he just immediately turn around?
You're already... yeah, he thought about resetting there for a second, but he did beat the Welk check, so he's gonna hold on to his progression there. And we do have Merton access, and we have a ton of elemental shields, so...
Yeah.
The thing is, with Kefka at Narsh, if you already make the walk all the way up here, you might as well do this unless you absolutely don't need it, and you could just immediately save and reset out.
Yeah.
Walking down the cliff, I believe, is in the realm of 30 to 40 seconds when I timed it one time. So it's not terrible, but it never feels good.
Yeah, once you make the walk up, yeah, it's never a good feeling to just see just a ghost like that, you know? It's like, ah, darn it. But it is a you get to pre-check it and say, okay, I guess it'll be worth it, or nope, I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, so Turdsman is now realizes that he's basically down to Leet River or Zozo. And Jack is soon going to realize that he needs to go to Phoenix Cave. Because he did peek Esper Mountain, remember? He looked in and then walked back out the other way. He does defeat Kefka at Narsh Kefka, not the actual Kefka, in order to grab himself some fixed dice.
There it is. Oh, and my weapon there. As the boss for Kefka at Narsh.
Yeah, one of the annoying things about doing Kefka at Narsh early is that you have to split up your party, so there's only 2 characters getting any XP for this fight here. Jack is diving into the Phoenix Cave by process of elimination, and we'll see if he decides to go and kill the optional dragon in here, or if he just speeds through it.
And notable that he went ahead and he put Realm in the party on her own.
Yeah, so dragons will give you lots of XP, plus 50 MP, plus their vanilla drop, and a high tier item. However, they also increase scaling by 2.5 levels. So
yeah,
something like this is sort of a trap, because this one check can increase your enemy scaling by 5 levels, right? Because you're going to get 5. A reward, plus you're going to get a dragon.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, so that was the Siren Esper for Turdsman that Jack is completely abandoned when he checked Kefka at Narsh. That's going to be important for the final fight, because that'll nullify magic, so unless Jack finds Mute on another Esper, he's going to have a slightly slower tier 2 than Turdsman does. Maybe not slower, but definitely more annoying. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Alright, so Jack looks like he's stepping on all sorts of spiky bits. So I don't think he's going to take the dragon here, but you never know. He might go to Realm, hit the save point, and do the tent glitch, if you will. So if one of your party members is on a save point, and you don't move them, and you switch to a different party, you could actually heal that party that's not on the save point with tent, sleeping bags, etc., etc.
Huh. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if he goes for it. Looking at his movement and the way he's been going through some of these checks, I don't see him going for it.
And then he goes and does this. Just as I said.
Yeah, maybe I'll eat my words. I'll just rewind it and then
remix.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like he is going to take on this dragon here and get that treasure chest that it's guarding. The dragons, I don't believe they are random. I believe they're shuffled, but I will have to double check on that. It's not called out in the little blurb I have, but let me go look at the actual flags themselves. Turdsman will find his lock at the end of this, so he'll get his character, and then it's up to him to see how fast he goes to Phoenix Cave, right?
Yeah.
Oh, boss battles are random, so that means that the dragons are also random.
He got a Ragnarok from the dragon.
Of course he did. Yeah, so when bosses are set to random, that also means the dragons are random. So we could fight 3 of the same dragon in this as well.
Oh, wow, okay. It's raining rags. Hallelujah. Yeah, it is. It is indeed raining rags and Atma weapons.
The Weather Girls would be happy with this seed indeed. So Jack is going to find... What do we think this character here is at the end of the Phoenix Cave?
Oh, it's Shadow.
I probably should have asked a very long time before that.
I was like looking through the tracker just to see everybody's face.
That was my fault.
Good. It's all good.
And Shadow with Magitech, Jack decides to put Shadow with Magitech into the party ahead of Realm. So now that means that our next character is gated behind one of Shadow's checks. So I'll ask you this question. Which one of Shadow's checks will give us our character, and who will it be?
Well, the commentator in me and like wanting to make things interesting is going to say it's behind the floating continent.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I would go immediately. Floating continent is a longer check. It's a 3-part check. But you're guaranteed to get progression at the first and third spots of it. And with all of the dead checks this seed, you gotta imagine that Floating Continent 2 probably won't be dead either. So
right.
And Turdsman doesn't have any warp stones. The Walk of Shame out of Zozo. Yick. Thank God we don't have to stand in that conga line on the way down.
True.
Alright, we got a Yeti hanging out with Gao's dad. We got Gogo at Velt Cave, so it's not Velt Cave, because that was an Esper on the ground. However, it's an Esper on the ground and not a NPC. If it was an NPC, then this would be a dead check. So Jack at least knows he's going to get some sort of progression here.
Yeah.
Which, at 40 minutes into the seed, and you only have 3 Espers and 5 characters, you are hating life right now.
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll see how quickly Turdsman decides to go to Phoenix Cave. It looks like he is also going to last location. His next character. Well, technically he skipped out on Leet River, so it's not technically a last location, but it essentially is.
Yeah, that's true. I have a weapon here as well in Veld Cave. Okay.
Yeah, so question in chat about if the runners feel behind or not. If I know that this seat is gated at Phoenix Cave, I don't feel that far behind, because I doubt that my opponent does Phoenix Cave before basically running out of other good options. Right?
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, and we talk about this all the time when we're commentating in the chat, everybody has... There's a general consensus in terms of, these are the checks that I typically do last, right? Because they take the longest, or because, they're really annoying for whatever reason that might be. There's kind of a general consensus as to which ones are the last ones you should do, right? So I agree with that thought process of okay, yeah, if I waited this long to do this check, chances are my opponent also is waiting to do this check.
And avert your pixelated eyes on Jack's screen. He does not have a way to cure that poison. Yikes. Meanwhile, Turdsman is going to pick up his... I think this is another big sword here, right? At South Figaro Cave? Or is this another Magus Rod? Oh no, it is actually progression.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember where the good stuff actually is. Yeah, $56,000 antidotes means you're staying poisoned.
And then Gar in the chat is pulling out the Hulk line, where he says, "That's my secret. I always feel behind."
Yep. Alright, so Turdsman, seeing the writing on the wall, is going to go to the Phoenix Cave here, in lieu of Leet River. I approve of this play.
Good choice, yeah, good choice.
And he'll get his Shadow. So Jack did bench Realm for Shadow, which is interesting. Shadow does have Magitech. And we do have lots of big, shiny swords. We've got at least one Ragnarok, at least one Illumina, and at least one Atma weapon, probably two. So this is not really a magic-heavy seed in spite of the fact that we did get Merton, and we've got a lot of elemental shields floating around. So that's why I think Jack probably went with Shadow over Realm, is just because of the Magitech ability is just so good that it's worth getting over. And swinging with swords is a lot faster than casting spells, right? So,
yeah.
All right, so let's see if it's at Gao's Manor. It is not there, so we're going to the floating continent.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to predict that we see.
Oh, he got Ifrit though. He did get an Esper there, so.
I'm guessing the Figa Bros are up on floating continent. Sabin at first spot and Edgar at the third spot. Let's see it, game.
Ooh. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, so Setzer can equip the Illumina, I believe. Either the Illumina or the Ragnarok.
So did Realm. Realm could also equip the Illumina, though.
That's true, but Realms, remember, our character stats are between 60 and 140 or whatever, so Realms Vigor might be gutter tier trash, and levels are more important than stats, but stats matter when you get to sort of those extremes, right? So.
I mean, there is, yeah, in the chat, Fitz and Gar pointing out you don't want to lose points for benching the title character in your flag set.
I'm fine with that. Oh, I didn't even see what was that to Zen Thief. I was so busy. Was it actually an Esper or was it a cat?
I didn't see either.
All right, maybe the chat knows. Falcon Hit giving us some inside information. Sabin was actually in Umaro's cave, so my prediction's already wrong. Not to Zen Thief. I'm sorry, Gao Manor, where Jack went.
Gao Manor, that was Ifrit. It was a.
Oh, yeah, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
So he's up to 5 Espers now, and Turdsman, in spite of how long it took him to get going in this seed, is tied with Jack for his progression here with Shadow. It depends on whether he decides to go to the floating continent first or do all the other stuff. So we'll see what he decides on doing here.
Turdsman deciding not to incorporate Shadow.
Yeah, I mean, his 36 magic power is pretty decent, and Magitech is a very strong ability, but again, you've got swords coming out of your ears, right? So you don't necessarily need it. And Jack finds Rexol. Yep, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just about to point out Rexol is guarding the entrance to the continent.
Yeah, so in the floating continent, you'll fight 2 bosses for the first reward. This is the first of 2, and then you'll get a story heal on your way before fighting the second boss.
Yeah. And the thing about the random bosses again being that you could just run into the same boss a couple times in this run. Chardnook.
Yo, dog, I heard you like Atma weapons, so I put some Atma weapons in the chests with other Atma weapons.
Yeah.
This is
our
insane.
New, that's our new meme. I'll get to work on. I'll get to work on it tonight.
Get right on that.
Yeah, just
call up Exhibit. Call in a favor.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm dating myself here with these memes I keep putting up. But it's too good to let it go by.
Yeah, so this Chatternook fight can get very nasty with random scaling, because normally Chatternook will counter things with lightning attacks, but with random scaling, he'll counter things with question mark attacks, right? Who knows what he's gonna... It's non-elemental, so that was Wump, and I've seen Wombat before, and other fun stuff. Second Atma weapon that we're fighting here. So we fought multiple Ultros and we fought multiple Atma weapons. I mean, it makes sense for this seed that we're fighting Atma weapons with Atma weapons.
Yeah.
Alright, and that's Jack's
There we go.
second boss down here. Let's see. Oh, it's Strago.
Good old Strago.
At the first floating continent. I didn't see any Strago in the chat, so nobody gets special internet points. So if we do not get a character at the end of the floating continent, that means that if we were to go even further in the seed, we would need to do some of Strago's checks. However, we already have our 6 characters, so there's the pet of the dog, so Turdsman validates his seed.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see what we get here for these next 2 float. Well, do you think with having a 6th character now, do you think Jack is going to go all the way through the floating continent?
Yeah, because I would imagine that this next spot can only be an Esper or an item, and Jack needs Espers. And the last spot is guaranteed progression, so there's a 50-50 chance, well, not 50-50 because of the fact that there's only 8 more characters and there's 22 more Espers that he can get, right? There's more of a chance it's going to be an Esper than a character. So yeah, I would do both 2 and 3 here. And hope for Esper, obviously. And then Jack did peak Esper Mountains, so he might go back there. He'll be not happy to see that it's a dead check. He hasn't done Search the Sky either with Doomgaze. I don't think. That's true. So that's also a potential of an Esper.
Yeah. And then he opted not to do Kefka at Nourish, which we know it gives Siren, right? So.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd walk all the way back up there, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he could gamble on the Ragnarok in
Mobliz. Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, Jack, give it to us. Lean into the Setzer's dice of gambling. All right, so that's another Esper there. So Jack is up to 6 and 6 now. There are 2 more forced encounters and 1 more boss, and he's done with the floating continent. And we'll see if Turdsman heads up there or if he peeks Gal Manor first.
He's taking everything off a lock.
Yeah, so it looks like Jack has got 8 bosses killed. So that's something to keep in mind. If we find another unique boss here, it is possible that we might be in position to get the skip at some point.
Well, it looks like Turdsman actually is going to bring in Shadow in place of Locke.
Interesting decision. Alright, I gotta take this phone call, so I'll be back in 1 second.
Sounds good. Alright, chat, that means you guys are stuck with me as we continue to watch Jack here finish this next encounter, and then we'll see what boss he gets for the last part of Floating Continent. Who is the best Spice Girl? You know, I gotta be honest. Tunnel armor. Okay, yeah, nice. Just hack away at it. But I would have to say, when I was younger and I actually watched Spice Girl movies and all that stuff, I was a fan of Baby Spice. I'll say it. All right, what do we got here? Soldier. So maybe we got, yep, Magicite Seraphim. Okay, nice. So that is exactly what Jack wants to see. Meanwhile, Turdsman did go ahead and go to the manor. So let's see if now he decides to go to Floating Continent. Looks like... Oh, he's going to World of Ruin instead. Yeah, Baby Space is alright, right? That's not too crazy. Not too crazy. Oh, we got Turdsman going over here to Mobliz. Let's see if he takes the gamble. If he thinks it's another Ragnarok sword or the Esper. I know a lot of you guys saying Esper every time, right? Oh, fake this out. Looked like he was gonna go for it and decided, nope, I already have enough of those.
Yeah, I would have to imagine, right, that you're thinking, oh, there cannot possibly be more dead checks. Let's just gamble on this. Right? So.
Arusta, the Strego was at the first check of the floating continent.
And Jack with a walk of shame out of Esper Mountain. This is not nearly as bad as Zozo. Oh, I forgot Jack hasn't done this check either at the weapon shop.
Oh, true. And it looks... Ooh, Palador.
Alright, so Turdsman getting the advantage with Espers, but I think Jack is going to be right behind him. We'll see if Jack decides to go up to the Tritok Cliff, because the Tritok Cliff is open to all characters, and the reward there is only an Esper or an item. So he could gamble of going up there for his 8th and 9th Espers here. Yeah.
Jack is getting this Esper here, and it was another Esper at the end of Floating Continent. So if Herdsman does go to Floating Continent, which looks like he's about to do, perfect, then he will get Strego. So after Floating Continent, Turdsman should be ready to go.
Yeah, so Floating Continent usually takes 8 to 10 minutes or so he'll be in go mode. Actually, he'll be in go mode after the Atma weapon spot. So what you can do is you could turn back around, go to the airship, and short circuit out of the Floating Continent at that spot, which is sort of what you were mentioning earlier, Preps.
Mm-hmm.
So Jack is going to take on the Tritok spot, and he perhaps will grab this dragon on the way. It looked like he was trying to avoid it at first, but then said, you know what? You're in my way, and it's another Storm Durgan.
Yeah, and Green Monkey just confirming what we're saying here is if Turdsman is at 6-9, he doesn't necessarily have to finish Floating Continent. He can dip.
Yeah, that's a smart play.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, we got Jack fighting the dragon here. It is the same dragon he fought earlier. With these, because the dragons are also randomized. So, definitely, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about fighting the same boss over and over again? Is that something you like?
It depends on the boss.
True.
Obviously, if it's an easy boss, then it's fine.
Yeah.
I do like knowing that if I fight a boss, it's out of the pool, so I can't find it in Kefka's tower, right? Or at least I know, hey, Kefka's tower is gonna suck. Maybe I should get some more levels. But...
yeah. So again, like we've had multiple repeats. This is our second Tentacles, the black dragon that Jack just fought. He fought that one earlier as well. We've had 2 Ultros 3s, 2 Atma weapons. I think there was another one that we've fought twice. So there's been a nice chunk of repeats this seed.
Yep, and that's the Tentacles gone. Oh man, of course, of course, it's a dead check up at the Tritok Cliff. So here's an opportunity for Turdsman to catch up a little bit of time here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so question in the chat, we'll pose it to everybody. How do we feel about dragons in a 2.5 character Esper Dragon Seed? They are hardly ever worth it unless you're looking for a high tier item or you really, really need offense. Because most of the time, right? You're going to get 2 to 3 levels from a dragon, but then that also increases enemy scaling by 2.5 levels. So it's sort of a, yeah, my characters are stronger, but so are the enemies. And granted, levels on your own characters are more important than levels on the enemies. However, in this flag set where it's scaled random abilities versus scaled element abilities, that makes tougher bosses even more difficult because they're harder to predict what they're going to do. And that is go mode there for Jack doing the Search the Skies spot. 59 minutes and 20 seconds. He is probably happy to get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
Looks like he's heading to a shop. I wonder what he's gonna look at buying here.
Yeah. Now, he did get a repeat boss though, so he's still at how many unique bosses? Just
well, so when he pulled up his tracker before the end of Floating Continent, he was at 8, right? And we saw Tentacles, which is a repeat boss, so he's either at 8 or 9, depending upon if that was before or after the last Floating Continent boss. So there is a potential for Jack to overload the third party up the middle and fight 3 unique bosses and then get skipped, but you have to get all 3 unique bosses in that case.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's a bit of a gamble, and we'll see if he decides to take it. Meanwhile, with that boss dead, that is Turdsman's 8th boss.
Okay. And he's getting his 6th character here, and we do know that he will get an Esper, so he should be in go mode as well after Atma Weapon on the Floating Continent there.
Most notably, though, his levels are in the low 30s here, whereas Jack's were definitely higher than his when he started the Floating Continent, so Jack definitely has the level advantage at the moment. Yeah, he's up at level 38 and 39. So in case you missed it, it is Gogo's Mirror next week for the Coliseum Round 3 flags. So that will apply to the lower bracket only, because the upper bracket has the week off. And Chupon's Pit will be doing Setzer's Dice flags next week.
There we go.
So Jack is actually overloading his second party. He may fight the Toilet Atma spot in hopes of getting a unique boss, just to potentially add more options on the table for him. I like this play because this boss walk is very short. We could save right afterwards and warp right out, and it is a very easy boss that we also haven't seen.
So there we go. That is a real good gamble there. Nice decision.
Not often you see Toilet Atma in a seed, so Schwantz approves.
Yeah.
Alright, so Jack is not going to bother saving, but he can just drop the airship right down and save. The other thing about killing Toilet Atma is you get levels on your party without advancing scaling, because it's not tied to a piece of progression, right? So that's a good heads-up play from Jack, knowing, hey, I could beat this boss, increase my own character levels, and not have to worry about increasing the scaling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly what Arista just said.
Yeah, exactly as you were explaining it. Yeah, Arista. So yes, that's exactly it. And yeah, Shadow fighting with Magus Rod. Magus Rod was the early on check for the sealed gate, Terra sealed gate. That was the reward there. So we've had it for a while, and now getting put to use.
Yep, and as we anticipated, Prebz Turdsman's hopping back onto the airship after doing Floating Continent 2 and getting his go mode. So we'll see what he decides to do, because his levels are a little bit behind where Jack's are. So, all things even, he would have a tougher time with the bosses in here. And it looks like Jack is heading back in and spreading his party out amongst everybody. Oh, he did get skipped. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I guess with that Toilet Atma spot with the leader there.
Very nice.
That gate that pushed him through. Nice. He must have been real happy to see that leader then, knowing that that was the last boss he needed.
Yeah. I mean, he had a few options, right? There was also the Inferno spot in case leader or the Toilet Atmos spot wasn't it, but...
Yeah. Alright, first... Okay, Narapa for our first statue here.
This is also a repeat boss, I believe. I think we saw Narapa earlier in the seed. I don't remember. I'm getting seed bleed now.
Yeah. I don't think so. I don't remember seeing Narapa earlier, but the chat will let us know, of course, if chat always keeps us true.
So here's the thing about the fight command, right? It is the fastest command in the game because you don't have the whole text announcing what you're doing and then actually going through an animation to do it. You just step up and you swing, right? So with that in mind, a runner like Jack will favor the fight command over some of the other commands just based on speed alone, right? Maybe that Merton would do more damage, but it's going to take a lot longer to cast, and we want speed. This is a speed run after all. Yeah.
I mean, and he's got the swords to do it with too, though, you know, right? Like, all these Ragnaroks, all these Atma weapons, and an Illumina in there as well, like... he's got the weapons. He's got the weapons to just swing. And what's the manual sword equivalent of spray and pray?
Yeah, the whole day.
Yeah.
Another repeater here, Chatternook.
All right.
Yeah, we also have Turdsman using fixed ice on his Setzer. So if Jack needed it in a pinch, I remember he did fight the Daryl's Tomb fight and did get the fixed dice as well. So
correct. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the whole animation is very fast thing doesn't apply to to fight with fixed dice.
True. We do see Merton coming out here for Chatternook though.
So Dr. GT suggests instead of spray and pray, it's slice and dice, which
that's
very appropriate for this flag set as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I'm getting bullied with these windy winds. Oh no, the Grand Train. Oh, and the Inferno spot is Poltergeist. Yikes!
Oh no! Spicy chicken.
Do we have stop? Merton is certainly not going to work because Merton is both a fire and wind elemental magic, and Poltergeist absorbs fire. Thankfully, he's got defense ignoring fixed dice and defense ignoring tech missile. However, the damage output is not really there with his levels, so this will take a while. Meanwhile, Jack knows that Chatternook's demon form is weak to Pearl and is chucking Pearl Lances at Chatternook, and that's going to take out that boss for him. Yeah, so even though Jack did end up getting out of having to fight Poltergeist here, as that's going to be a reset due to multiple stop blasters, remember, with random bosses, we could see Poltergeist at his Vanilla spot, and at the Doom spot, and at the Goddess spot, so he might not necessarily avoid this.
Correct.
And yep, Spicy is definitely right, and it looks like... Turdsman, seeing the writing on the wall here, goes, you know what? I need a better party to deal with Poltergeist there.
Yeah.
I mean, what he could do is overload his fourth party, take out Poltergeist, then warp back out and warp back in and reform. I certainly have been doing that in this flag set a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot lately. With the I mean, I haven't commentated in over a week, but when I was commentating a lot 2 weeks ago, we got to see a lot of that actually in some of these practice runs. It's people overloading one party, running through, getting enough for KT skip, and then resetting.
Yeah. It was certainly more reliable when the bosses were shuffled instead of random, right? Because you knew you were going to get unique bosses every single time.
Yeah.
And as Jack finished with Flame Eater there, so his middle section is cleared and good to go. It'll be
Right.
interesting to see what is on the left and the right-hand side. But he's just 2 bosses from stepping on the statues here. After kind of a grueling seed with a lot of dead checks.
Well, he already did left side though, right? Because that was Narapa.
No, that was Toilet Atmo, the Rappa.
No, Toilet Atmo was the leader.
Oh, you're right.
And then left
Okay,
side statue was Narapa. No, it's all good. It's all good.
You're right.
Like you said, you have a seed bleed happening. But yeah, so he only has right side now to deal with. And let's see what it is. Oh, okay.
Of course. Of course. Who else would it be?
Who else but Ultros?
So on Turdsman's side, he reformed his party because Realm knew the stop command. So stop will work on Poltergeist. So this fight will be a lot easier for Turdsman now that he's got stop, hammer time for Poltergeist. I can't take credit for that. That's all Dr. GT's. And ouch!
Ouch.
Shadow getting bullied there by Ultros 3.
Alright.
But Jack is standing tall, and this will be his go mode.
You like to see it. Some good dice rolls coming out on Turdsman's side. Just a couple more hits here. Let's see.
Yeah, Realm only doing about 1,000 with that Illumina, because Poltergeist does have very high physical defense.
Yeah.
The fixed dice will cut through that, so that's why the damage is a lot better without it.
Ooh.
And
that's unfortunate.
Dr. GT getting PTSD flashbacks of his Poltergeist fight from round 1. So Jack stepping on the switches, 110.55 here.
110.55, alright.
And there it is.
Woo!
Surviving with a lowly 722 damage roll.
Yeah. Got the job done. Nice work, Turdsman.
Yeah, go back and save.
Yep. Yep.
Alright, so now that I should have changed the music a while ago, but we got Jack now on Final Kefka.
Here we go.
So we get to hear that glorious Dancing Mad.
Oh,
The attempt at instant deathing the long arm unfortunately did not work. Exfer is one of the Magitech abilities that will do instant death, and Turdsman looks like he's going to take another dragon for some levels here. It's unfortunately not with his full party, but I still like the idea anyway.
At this point, yeah. It's not a bad idea. Also, don't forget, you pointed this out earlier, but since Jack did not do Kefka at Norris, she does not have Siren. Do we know if he picked up another Esper that had Mute?
I don't recall.
Because if not, then, you know, he may have just a little bit more of a challenging time in Tier 2 than if Turdsman can make his way there. He will have that slight advantage, but Jack looks poised here to.
Yeah, it looks like he was sacrificing Strago to the statue of the gods here.
Yeah,
and using Merton to burn up everything on Tier 1.
Yep.
So the long arm is actually weak to wind, which is why you see Merton doing more damage to long arm than the fist there. Remember, Merton is a wind and fire spell, and it's already Tier 1 down. Very nicely done.
Nice, yes.
We'll see what sort of corpse gets dragged into Tier 2. And we'll see if he's got any mute.
Well, hopefully we'll see Setzer. you know, it is the Setzer flag set. Maybe we'll have Setzer dragged out.
Yeah, so Jack knew that he wasn't really going to need a third character. And he's put the Ice Shield on Realm now for the Merton, so that will counter anything. Unfortunately, gets bullied by Diffuser there. I'm not seeing any mute, but you know what? If you're burning everything to death, it's not really a problem, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, he runs out of MP, but that's okay because he's got Magitech as his backup. So
that's right. That
was sort of the strategy here, was to use the fire stuff on tiers 1 and 2. Because on tier 3, Girl absorbs every element, and by the time we get to Kefka, we've got to do our little dance of doing enough damage before getting the counterattack phases and then backing off a little bit.
Yeah. You've got strong weapons on Terra and Locke, but also the option to throw. Constantly looking at Jack hovering over the Pearl Lance, deciding when do I want to throw it.
Yeah, this tier would certainly be a better time than next tier, unless you save it for sleep.
Yeah.
Shadow getting stopped is never fun, especially when you only have 3 characters here.
Yeah.
So you also see the power of the skip, as Jack was able to avoid all of this walking throughout Kefka's tower. Not only the Poltergeist fight, but just the sheer amount of walking and putting stuff on switches and stuff. It's just a time waste.
Mm-hmm.
Magic, unfortunately, undoing the stop that it did on Shadow with the Dispel. So, thanks for that, Magic. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, Hit is susceptible to stop. So, that's why we see Jack pulling it out here. So, this way, you know, we're not going to get attacked for the rest until we get to the 10 hits death counter.
Yeah.
And that's going to be tier 2 down. So Jack putting on a clinic here of how to take care of Final Kefka.
Yeah, as Jack does.
Meanwhile, Turdsman got his wait out, the long, drawn-out animation to get to the demon form of Chatternook. Boss is another big time waste as well.
Oh, yeah.
Spend so much time transforming.
Yeah, sorry, and we've had it twice this time around, so...
Yeah. Alright, we're on to tier number 3 for Jack. 2 different parts. The girl will absorb all of the elements and heals and revives both parts, so we're going to want to take her out first with some tech missile and swinging some of those swords, hoping for no pearl procs, of course.
Yeah.
Ooh! Big bad hyperdrive there from Chatternook.
Yeah. Ooh.
So sets are finally coming in on tier number 3.
Yep.
Oh, and that's Turdsman with a wipe.
Yikes.
Yeah, so that's, as I mentioned, part of the problem with random scaling is you never really know what type of spell you're going to get hit with, and unfortunately that means Turdsman is back at the Inferno spot and has to do this walk all over again. Ugh. That's awful.
Yikes. You hate to see it. Dr. DT saying new tier, new dead body, but Setzer's actually holding out pretty well.
Yeah, Setzer's swinging that Illumina. So Jack putting Calmness Protection on Terra with the image status and gets a clutch block there from Locke.
Yes.
Who needs Calmness Protection?
Nice. You love to see it. And the sound too, so satisfying. Bing.
Speaking of a satisfying sound, we're going to hear Kefka's laugh in just a moment. And this is the final
Right.
part of the boss, so we'll see how Jack decides to deal with this. Will cast Fallen 1 after his first turn, or on his first turn, rather. I did see a Mega Elixir in the inventory, so that shouldn't be a problem for Jack.
That's right. That's right. Be able to pick up Mega Elixirs from the Coliseum.
We just got to be aware of some nasty counterattacks. So that's why we want to hit him with a lot of damage during his charge up for the Goner phase.
Yeah.
And we got Lock, Chuck, and Wing Edges.
Those wing edges have been real nice.
Yeah, they have very high battle power, and they were pretty cheap.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Tara was hit with the seizure status, so that's why she fell over and died right away, because when you get reduced to 1 HP, and then your HP is on a ticking time bomb, that's what happens. Clutch block there.
Yeah.
I thought he had a Mega Elixir in his inventory. I guess he's just deciding not to use it. Or I'm thinking of Turdsman with the Mega Elixir
Yeah,
in his inventory.
Turdsman got his Mega Elixir from the Coliseum. Jackimus did not go to the Coliseum at all. I don't know if he picked one up while he was out looting, but...
Jack did go to the Coliseum. He got...
Oh, he did.
He got the
But
Minerva.
I don't... He may not have opted to go back for this, because Turdsman was the one who ended up fighting the Cruller. That's when he got the Mega Elixir. I believe Jack only did that one battle, but it worked out for him in the end.
Yeah, there it is. The Crack Pow 120.39 for Jack. Get your GGs in chat. That is an incredible time for this seed.
Yes, indeed. GG indeed.
Go drop him a follow if you please as well.
Oh yeah. Definitely give our runners a follow.
All right, and we are joined by the winner of this bout, Jackimus. GG, congratulations on your first place win in this race, Jack. If you are speaking, we cannot hear you. Or at least I can't hear you.
I can't hear you either. But yeah, well done. Well done. Nicely played. GG. Meanwhile, we've got Turdsman over here is trying to get revenge on Chad and Nick.
The Chad, as it were.
the Chad. All right. And I guess took off the mod suit of Realm.
Yeah, paintings are weak to fire, so there's that. I believe what he did was he decided to go Merton strats here. So maybe Realm has the Minerva on.
Hey, and it worked out. Look at that. Good job.
Nicely done.
Should we go down?
Hey,
yes.
There he is. So congratulations, Jack, on your first place win. GG.
Yay.
So tell us a little bit about, what your thoughts were for both the Setzer's Dice flag set and this dead check. I mean, this seed in particular.
The seed was really easy. The Setzer flags are interesting, but you get throw on a seed with completely random prices, and it's just God.
It could be great or it could be really bad, but you found some cheap wing edges for sale, and that's what you did.
Yeah.
You went with the throw character.
Yeah, 3k wing edges and 2 throw characters. I mean, everything was just going to die. The game didn't need to give me like 3 or 4 Ragnarok swords and 2 Atma weapons. It's like, I don't need those. Throw.
Yeah, that was quite a an assortment of swords that you were able to collect this seed.
Yeah, normally you'd really appreciate that, but throws a faster animation. If you proc a spell with those swords, like, you really wish you just threw something.
Yeah, we were sort of
Uh,
talking about it in chat, right? Where fight command is almost always the faster animation than anything you could muster. We also found Merton on a spell, and we had lots of Merton protection in the
Yeah.
seed, but it's just much faster to throw and swing things.
Yeah, Merton was available as well. I used it a couple of times towards the end. I wish I didn't fiddle around with Exfer because that was just a waste of time. But other than that, I mean, everything went just fine.
Yeah, you sacrificed Strago to the statue of the gods there on your trek up the tiers.
Hey, well, a character that wasn't in my main 4 was able to put out 20,000 damage, so I'll take that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, you gave us some toilet atma, which is always nice in a seed. You were one off of your boss counts, and you decided to go at it for the skip.
Yeah, it's the boss to go after because you get a bonus item on top of it. I don't even remember what it was because I didn't need whatever that item was.
Yeah, and you don't increase scaling too.
I think the only thing I was really looking for towards the end were just maybe like a couple elixirs or whatever for insurance, but my offense was so ridiculous I didn't really need them anyway.
Yep. The you did get to skip out on a poltergeist at the Inferno spot, so that's what has been, or it was what gave Turdsman a little bit of trouble.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he did not have the party with stop on his in his character set on the first time around. So yeah, that was pretty bad. But we did have access to stop, so that made it easy the second go around. But it's still just a slog of a fight. He's just got a ton of HP rather.
Yeah, I'd be kind of surprised, honestly. I mean, I don't remember which Esper stop was on, but a couple of my characters had it. Like, I mean, by the point where I went up to the floating continent, it's like, I don't need to save, because I've got an answer for every boss at this point. I don't care what it is, bring it on, I'm going to win.
The question on our minds was, did you sort of feel behind with the way how linear the seed played out, or did you think, well,
no,
I don't think, my opponent is in Phoenix Cave or picked Phoenix Cave first. This is fine. Let's just keep going.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You're getting into like gamesmanship at this point, but in like a one against one race, you can't really be like, well, I'll try something weird like Phoenix Cave, like you could in like a 30-40 person race, and pull out ahead by being the one person that did that. I think heads up, you have to play it a little more straight. So a long check like Phoenix Cave, that'd be the last thing that you'd do. So it's like that ended up being last location for a character for me, and it's like I'm not even worried because I know it's probably happened to Turds as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking.
So do you have any other questions or thoughts for Jack A. Prebz?
No, I think the only question that I had was how nice did it feel knowing you only had one more boss to do KT skip to find leader at Toilet Atma?
I guess it saved me a throwable or two.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what the boss was, let's be honest. My weakest character was putting out 6,000 damage a turn.
Yeah. Nice, yeah. No, that was a fun one to watch.
All right, cool.
Great job, great job.
Yeah,
real good race.
The Elite River ride certainly gave you a ton of levels, even though it was a dead check, so that certainly helped you get ahead of your boss scaling, and all the bosses just sort of fell over for you after that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like Elite River, but if I do it early, I don't mind it. There's a bit of a gamble aspect depending on what the boss ends up being, but just getting those like 10-ish levels from fighting the randoms is gonna basically pull you even or ahead of the scaling early on, and levels are more important than gear at the start.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even though you're investing the time earlier on, it saves you time because you're killing things much faster, right? So,
Yeah, you go into a boss fight and you one round it with like throw, chop, chop. You wouldn't be able to do that at a lower level, probably.
all right. Well, congratulations again, Jack, for your victory. You will be fighting against the loser of the Kirgzy One Free Fits matchup. So we'll keep an eye on that. And it is Gogo's Mirror flag set for the next round. Do you have any thoughts on that set of flags, or do you not know what they are and want me to tell you what they are?
Oh, don't even bother. December's too busy for me this year. I'm sure you saw whenever you were setting the stream up that I was just looking through the flags to see what I was in for. I didn't practice this one or look into it. I'll just do the same thing next week.
Sounds good. Well, be prepared to go to the Zone Eater with Gogo for sure.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Gogo is one of my favorite characters in the rando.
Hey.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, again, thank you,
Let's
Jack.
go Bruins!
Thank you, Jack, for allowing us to feature you on stream, and good luck on your next round match.
Thanks.
All right, catch you later.
See you later.
All right, so Turdsman is starting Final Kefka. He's already said in the race room if this doesn't go well for him, then he's not going to try it a second time. But really appreciate him giving us a Kefka fight here. It's one of those things where you know you've lost the race already, but you've already invested an hour and a half of your time into the seed. You want to see it through to the end, right?
Exactly. There's just something about pulling the plug where it's just not worth it. You've already dedicated enough time to it. Just go for it. We like to see it. We we like to watch it. Those of us commentating and you guys here in the chat. So let's continue to cheer Turdsman on.
Yep. And then
thank
that
you,
also
and
is.
thank you to,
I'm sorry, God.
I was just gonna say thank you to Jamian for raiding in here. Hello, Jamian, and Jamian's chat. We are finishing up here watching Turdsman fight Final Kefka. Just finishing up his part of the race. Jackimus being the victor of this race. Already got to chat with him and his thoughts on it. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Schwantz?
No, I was basically just going to say there's also, the other side of the coin where if you are not having fun, then you don't have to push yourself through it if you're not enjoying it either, right? These are
True.
At the end of the day, this is supposed to be for fun. Yes, we do have competition, and some competition is good, but it's supposed to be fun, right? So
Definitely. I threw it on the ground.
yeah, I think 120s is one of the faster Setzer's Dice flag sets, and obviously with Setzer's Dice, it could vary extremely wildly from seed to seed. This seed gave us a lot of goodies in terms of items at dead checks, Ragnaroks, Illuminas, etc., but you also have to spend the time doing those dead checks, right? So it's one of those things where, yeah, we got a lot of offensive goodies, but we're also wasting a lot of time not getting our progression. So, excellent time for Jack. Just barely missing out on the sub 120.
Yeah. It was definitely a good one. So when you get the chance, definitely watch the restream.
Yeah, I think after a while we were saying that, I think Turdsman pulled 2 more Atma weapons out of chests after he didn't need to continue looting.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was overall ridiculous. So Turdsman, as we mentioned earlier, did have access to Siren. That was the Esper at Kefka at Narsh that Jack left behind. So he was able to nullify magic rather with Mute. And this tier 2 is going to be a bit easier for him.
Yeah. Seems to be doing okay. And Turdsman, just as a reminder, especially for Jamian coming in and his chat, but Turdsman is looking, he got different strats to approach this fight, but is coming in at slightly lower levels than Jack was. So we may see things taking just a little bit more time. Right, because Shadow for Turdsman shooting out some tech missiles right now is only doing about, what was it, about 3,000? And
yeah, there were expensive earrings.
That's a good one.
There were expensive earrings in this seed, and that's usually what you use to get your magical damage up a bit, right? So with expensive earrings, it means that you're probably not buying them unless you're selling a bunch of stuff, right? So
yeah, and so yeah, the tech missiles doing about 35, 40 a pop for for Turdsman right now, but for Jackimus they were doing probably about 55, 60 a pop. So
yeah, also having to lean on fixed dice as well, which is a lot more random. Sure, you can get really high rolls, but the more levels you get, the less swingy fixed dice tends to be, right?
Yeah.
You're better off using a more reliable weapon at higher levels than fixed dice, just because the damage that fixed dice does on a great roll doesn't happen nearly as often as it should be, right? So
yeah, exactly.
All right, so we're on tier 3, and we got lots of stuff to take out Girl here.
Right.
Little Martin protection there. Yeah, so I briefly talked to Jack about the Go-Go's mirror flags. That is what we in the lower bracket are going to be using next week. It is auto-reflect when you win a Coliseum battle. So that could be good, that could be bad, depending upon if you want to heal yourself, or, you know, it's good if the enemies try to target you and they can't. There are no random excludes for commands, so Possess is on the table, X-Magic is on the table, Shock and Magitech is on the table. The experience multiplier is ×4 instead of the standard ×3, so you're going to get more XP. However, enemy scaling is your party highest level ×1, so you're not going to be able to out-level your enemies. Ultima, however, is learnable in the seed, which could be interesting to see if we see a lot of big blue bubbles. And since we know we're going to get Go-Go, Go-Go can mimic it without that MP cost.
Yeah. Well, and that'd be interesting to see, too, if you have auto-reflect, does Ultima get reflected if a boss were to use it on you?
Nope.
No?
No. Yeah, Ultima is not reflectable. Most AoE attacks like that are not.
Right, gotcha.
Oh,
there you go.
And there goes Realm.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think we got any Calmness protection this seed, because I saw Jack use the one of the edges there. Invis Edge? No, the Shadow Edge, I think, that makes you with the image status, so.
yeah. Gonna have a lot of throw. Can you imagine having a Throgo in this seed with a Terra Lock already having throw as well?
Yeah. Well, the other interesting thing is, right, with no random excludes off the table, and I don't know, we don't usually play around with Possess a whole lot as a command, but essentially it allows you to defeat basically any enemy. However, that party member gets removed from the party and they won't get any XP for the fight. Obviously, this doesn't matter on things like Tier 3 and Final Kefka, so it's a very easy way to get through the hardest parts of the final boss. And with Go-Go, you could always add Possess to your command queue, right? So you could essentially remove Sleep from the fight and then remove Kefka from the fight afterwards. So it's a very easy way to deal with those tough things. One strategy I've also employed is I use Possess on like a character I wouldn't be otherwise using. Yeah, they won't get any XP or MP for the fight, but your other 3 characters will, and it's just a way to make quick work of the seed. You do have to go back to the airship and put that person back in your party, but the time that it takes to do that is usually much less than the time it takes to kill a boss, so that could be a strategy that we see in the next round as well.
Yeah, no, that definitely. I mean, that's what I love about all these different presets. I think that's what makes this Coliseum run so interesting to watch and run for you guys, is because every single flag set is just gonna give you like you're gonna have to take such a different approach to each one, and that's what makes this such a fun game to play through, right? And so this is make sure you check out the website, right? www.ff6 Worlds Collide, and yeah, gonna be good. There you go.
There's a link to our Discord, which will help out.
Yep.
And so this is a little bit of dangerous territory here for Turdsman, because the Goner did come off, and his characters are not at great health, and we have to make sure that Kefka does not throw...
There's the train.
Yep, we have to make sure Kefka does not throw any nasty counterattacks our way here.
Yeah. Did Turdsman already use his Mega Elixir? Because we know that he has one.
Yes, he did on Fallen One.
Yeah. Okay, so then there we go. He does have some elixirs. That's good.
Yeah, so at this point, healing up the party is paramount, because we don't want to eat a Havoc Wing or a Hyperdrive, perhaps. Oh, and there's Shadow down again. We only have one more elixir and one more X potion to go. Shadow does have a heal force in his Magitech commands, and Train does not prevent us from using Magitech. It only prevents us from using regular magic, so we'll see what he decides to do here. It looks like he's going to go full force here.
Yeah.
Taking off the shields, so this Goner is going to do more damage, but this is what he's got, and he's going to just chuck it all now. It's now or never, folks.
Yep.
There it is.
There it is. Yes, it was good. Very good. Yeah, at some points you just gotta be like, you know what? Just all in. I gotta just go for it. And
Boom,
this
boom,
was
boom.
the
Let
moment.
me hear you say wayo.
Wayo.
All right, so 1:41:01 is the final time there for Turdsman.
GG, Turdsman, GG.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Way to
Hyperdrive.
persevere. Way to persevere through that
Yeah.
disgusting.
That is the most I've ever seen Hyperdrive ever.
Oh,
Like
man, no.
4 bosses in a row. Just like, no, that character's gone. We're not playing with that character anymore.
GG though, that was way to. I agree with Schwantz. Way to persevere and put a nice stamp on it at the end. You know?
Oh yeah, I didn't want to let Setzer win.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
tell us. I was going to say, tell us a little bit about your strategy for this particular flag set and this seed in general, because it seemed like you did a lot of looting in Coliseum early.
Yeah, this one in particular always makes me feel like I'm just not ready yet. Especially like running into, I had 2 throw users in there, and normally that's, oh, sweet, Yahtzee. All I need is, 25,000 and they're set for the rest of the game, but that doesn't really work. I mean, I found the bolt edges for reasonably cheap, but I just kept finding physical offense. And I think I kind of tricked myself into thinking that, okay, that's the direction the seed wants me to go in. It's giving me these throw users, but it's also giving me like 5 Aura Lances or something like that. And I found a Ragnarok and an Illumina right after each other. There's the Strength +2 Esper. So I kind of course corrected maybe a little bit too late. And I think that's this flag set in particular really makes me second guess myself, just based on what I have access to and what I don't have access to.
Yeah, a lot of reaction on the fly with a lot of the randomness that this seed throws at you. You might have been better off buying just a stack of those $4,500 Aura Lances and throwing them, right?
Honestly, yeah. Yeah, I thought about that way too late. And
yeah.
yeah, there were nothing.
Yeah.
They cost nothing. at the end of the game, I was like, okay, I've got these things. Let's chuck them. And they were doing like 6K or something. It's like, oh crap! I should have been doing this the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunately you ran into Poltergeist at the Inferno spot and then Chatternook at the Guardian spot, which gave you a little bit of trouble. You did not have enough bosses for Skip until you basically were ready to go against Final Kefka. Was that something that was in your mind with this flag set is, hey, I might not get Skip, so I might have to, walk through the normal route?
Well, this is also one of the first times, like I've played about maybe, I want to say 4, I think, 3 or 4 of these seeds as practice, and this was the first time I ran into the same boss over and over again. So I wasn't certain, like the tracker wasn't counting it, and I mean, obviously, once I got to the end and got the skip, I think on like the left statue.
Yeah, it was the left statue with Narapa.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, those didn't count. I was kind of hoping they were, but I figured they probably didn't. But yeah, I knew that, like, I know that Jackimus is a pretty good runner. He's been around for a while, and I figured, okay, I'm gonna need a little edge. I'm gonna, like I fought Kefka for those fixed dice. I took some bosses as opposed to the non-boss checks, just because I wanted to try to build that up, see if I couldn't save myself 5 minutes or so down the road. But I ran into number 128 twice. I ran into Atma Weapon twice, and that kind of ended up killing that particular strategy.
Yeah, there were a lot of repeat bosses this time for both of you guys. Yeah, there was the Atma Weapon twice, the 128 twice. There was Ultras 3 a couple times. There was Tentacles twice. There were so many that just repeated through this for both of you. So,
yeah, I didn't even see the tentacles.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see, and yeah, way to just keep going for it. That was
well, thank you.
Yeah. Any last things for you to say, Schwantz?
Yeah, way to persevere with this seed, just giving you some nastiness, especially in Kefka's Tower. It was also a pretty linear seed as well, where we were stuck at Zozo, and then we were stuck at Phoenix Cave, and then we were stuck at Floating Continent. So do you generally like those type of seeds, or do you favor seeds where there's lots of different paths to go through?
I think probably more the latter. My ideal, like, opening 30 minutes is find that 4th character right away, and then find a ton of Magicite until you get, the 5th and 6th characters maybe a little bit later. Like, I like getting the full party. I guess that was a little different for the Shadow Flag set last week, but yeah, I tend to like having a lot of options available so that I can I can do the on-the-fly math, be like, okay, well, I just found this character a little while ago, and that means the logic means there's probably another character along their line, so I'm going to do some of these other little pickup checks to try to juice myself up before I get too far behind the scaling. But in this case, like you said, it was pretty prescriptive. I don't know if anybody checked Leet River. Maybe that was
Jack did. That was the trick.
Dead. Oh man.
Yeah.
God.
Yep. Well, even though it was a dead check, that allowed him to accumulate a lot more levels, right? So his bosses were going down real fast, whereas you struggled a little bit more with longer boss fights.
And I think that's something that I had done in some of my practice runs, was not having a good source of grinding early on. So I would just default to sitting in front of the bucket Narsh and squeezing out a couple guys that way. And I kind of didn't, like, I did the Realms Jador check early on, but there wasn't that much in there in terms of experience. There was the magic, and then I think, I don't know what the second one was.
Yeah,
but
you did the Sealed Gate Cave Ninjas as well, and those fights were not great in terms of XP. It's also early in the seed where you don't gain as much XP as you do later on.
Right. So yeah, I guess that's something that, I mean, that was happening with the Grand Melee at the beginning too is Leet River. Maybe Leet River isn't as bad as everybody thought it was. Maybe we should try to.
No, it's bad. It's bad. I do the sealed cave gate ninja grind strategy, but I usually take 3 or 4 fights there versus I think you only took 2. So maybe that's the difference. I've tried to avoid Leet River at all costs, especially because it could be a dead check, and you have no idea how many fights you'll get into. You can get into, at the very least 2, and at the most like 7 or 8, right? So.
Right. I think I only took the 1 at the ninja check just because I think I got like 300 experience out of it or something. I was just like, all right, well, screw this. This isn't worth my time. I'll just go to Narsh later.
Yep.
Sit in front of the bucket. But that also proved to be not super valuable. I did get lucky with some of the early bosses, and I think that made me a little bit more complacent. Yeah, and be like, okay, I got, I'm up to like the mid-teens now, and I'm only at, I think, like 4 or 5 items for scaling. Let's just keep going until I run into something. And that's completely stupid, because all of my most successful seeds usually involve me just like getting as much as I can right in the beginning, and then getting that momentum that will carry me hopefully all the way till the end, but usually at least to the boss rush in Kefka's Tower. I didn't really have that momentum this time.
Yep. Any other last minute thoughts on the seed? Or the Coliseum tournament in general, really?
Well, yeah, I'd love the Coliseum tournament's rad. I'm super into all the different flag sets that are, really creative based on all the little characters, and this is a cool event.
All right, sounds good.
That I'm now out of.
Yeah. Well, listen, I might be joining you tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern when I face off against Jex Varrock, because he's a really good runner. I know that he's very well versed in a lot of these random weird flags. So I will see what I can do. But if I join you, then don't worry. I'll create a Ultimate Losers Coliseum async where everybody that's knocked out can at least continue along and play the flags in a weekly async. Maybe I'll do that.
Blackjack and hookers.
Yeah, basically.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you restreaming this.
All right. Well, thank you for allowing us to feature you. Sure.
Absolutely.
We can't have the races without the runners allowing us to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Aprebs, you got anything else? And we'll close this out.
No, just a big thank you to our runners today, Jackimus and Turdsman, and a big thank you to you for restreaming and sending the invite over. CC Runner in the chat asking when's the next race. Why don't you give him the info?
Yeah, so we may have a race later tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, depending upon if we can get some staff or not, right here on this channel, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, we usually have races on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, not Wednesday, Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern on this channel, and then next week we have a Wednesday speed gaming slot. It's usually at 8, but this week we switched it up to 10 o'clock to accommodate another race room, so if you hit that follow button, you'll get notified whenever this channel goes live. And if you join our Discord, usually we like to make an announcement as soon as the stream is starting or right before the stream starts. So you'll stay up to date on all things Worlds Collide that way. So,
correct. And we do also have Instagram and Twitter as well. So, updates go there. We usually announce, maybe not right before, but maybe like earlier in the day, like, hey, this race happening tonight, or this seed going live, So,
yeah,
lots of places you can check.
Also, check out our YouTube channel. We are uploading all of the races to our YouTube channel. Some of them may not have, the commentary on them because they are not being rebroadcast, and that would take far too long to commentate every single one of the races. But at least you could see the races, what the results are, and get some feel for what different runners are doing with the different flag sets. So definitely check us out. And as Jack points out, yes, we are also very lazy. So
Yes, lazy.
You got anything else, to say, Preps?
No, just a big thank you also to you guys, the chat, for being here, watching, and just listening to us talk away. Thank you guys so much, and yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, and until next time, we'll see you Moogles later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.